All of us feel stuck sometimes. It's part of living, it's part of growing, and it's an important part of expanding who you are. But sometimes we get stuck in being stuck. It's kind of like when you're walking down the sidewalk and you step in a big old wad of gum and that gum trails on behind you and you can't get it off your shoe and every step is sticky. That's being stuck in being stuck. That's when we need to do something about it. We need to take action. I have a quick step tip that will take you to that place where you can have a fresh perspective and take a new action and move into something greater. That tip comes in the form of one word. The word is up. When you get exacerbated, when you're frustrated, a lot of us just tend to throw our hands up, roll our eyes. We look up. When you're doing that, I want you to think of 2 action steps and take these action steps. The first action step is for you. Unpack the overwhelm. Being stuck happens someplace between being underwhelmed, when we know we want to change, we want something different, this just isn't working for us anymore, to the place and between the place of being overwhelmed, the action, the energy, the effort, the tasks and skills we're going to need to move past this place of stuckness. Unpack that overwhelm. It's the overwhelm that can be scary to us. Perhaps it's an energy or a time issue or something in a relationship. There's something about the overwhelm that is keeping you from moving forward. Take a look at it, unpack it, write down what it is that's making you hesitant. When you write it down on a piece of paper, you're giving it a home on a piece of paper instead of mulling around in your head. Look at that piece of paper, address each one of those things with a realistic view. You've had a lot of life and a lot of life experience, probably a lot of relationship experience as well. You have the skills in you to take that new step, that fresh step, that step of movement. Call on the skills that you have. They are there. We just can't let them feel too overwhelming in our mind. So the first action step is to unpack the overwhelm. The second step is for the P, to put it in perspective. We tend to think of things in the terms of outcomes, best case scenario outcomes and worst case scenario outcomes. The best case scenario is the action or the change that we want to happen happens. But when it comes to the worst case scenarios, we tend to go off into this dark place. Think about the outcomes of you making change. If you need to make a change in a relationship, think about what the best possible outcome is and the worst possible outcome. If it's time management, think about the best possible outcome and the worst possible outcome. Write those things down on a piece of paper and look at them with a realistic eye and put them into perspective. The things that we think can happen, the worst things that we think can happen, tend not to be the reality of what will happen. Put it down on a piece of paper and get a fresh perspective. You'll notice I mentioned putting this down on paper twice. There's a reason for this. When we give these things a home on the paper instead of mulling around in our head, we put them into a perspective and into the place and size that they actually deserve. When we leave them mulling around in our thoughts, they tend to get bigger than they are. Write them down on a piece of paper, give them a home there, and then you've dealt with them. We all get stuck, but when you're stuck in being stuck, think of up. Unpack the overwhelm, put it in perspective. It'll help you move from the place of being stuck to stepping into something great and better, even if it's just a change in attitude. You got this, ladies. Woman up. Own it, account for it, and manage it.